The tourist experience in the Galapagos is extremely well managed to ensure that your footprint is as light as possible. So there is a strict code of conduct in the Galapagos, which as a visitor you're expected to adhere to. The ship's schedules are incredibly well organised, just to make sure that the key sites aren't overrun. But last year, 200,000 people came to the Galapagos. So the big question is, at what point does this become unmanageable?
There needs to be as little contact as possible between visitors and wildlife to ensure that we don't change their natural behaviour or damage the habitat they rely upon for survival. So the worry is that any further growth in tourism will upset the delicate balance of nature in this fragile environment.
There needs to be a cap on visitor numbers. And that might sound odd coming from a tour operator, but it needs to be done right now, not in the long-term future, but right now. Think about it. If the authorities were to cap the numbers at their current level, and then they were to take the bold step of doubling or even tripling the park fee, not only could they alleviate the pressure on the environment and this fabulous wildlife that everybody has come to see, they could also create a budget that could go towards the long-term conservation of the Galapagos Islands. By visiting the Galapagos Islands, you can make a real difference. You can come here, enjoy the scenery, encounter amazing wildlife, but you can begin to understand some of the problems that these islands face. Take the giant tortoises on Hispaniola Island. There were fewer than 20 tortoises on those islands, but there are now in excess of 2,000 tortoises, thanks to a breeding program put in by the national park authorities. Things like breeding programs cost money, and there is still a lot to do in the Galapagos Islands, which is why I think the national park fee needs to be increased. To double or triple that fee will provide a big fund for more conservation projects to ensure that these islands have a future.
This formula, where fewer tourists pay more, has worked well in other parts of the world.
So to spend one day in Kenya's Masai Mara is approximately $100. To spend 1 hour with mountain gorillas in Rwanda is around about $700. A national park fee for the Galapagos is $100, no matter how long you want to be here. It's too cheap, way too cheap. Ecuador is massively undervaluing one of its key tourist assets. And by doing so, they're missing a trick. They're jeopardizing the long-term future of these islands.